Good evening to you from Chiefs Training Camp. I'm Neal Jones, and this is Mark Powell, and welcome to KC Sports Tonight. I am covering like my 31st training camp. Mark has covered training camps, but is this your first camp as a sports person covering the Chiefs?
This is my very first one covering Chiefs, coming up here every single day. So yes, but probably been in this for a little bit more than a decade. So probably about my 10th training camp overall.
I don't think the USFL or Arena League teams training camps count.
Hey, the KC Brigade, they had a strong training camp in like 2014, didn't they?
They were good. I covered the Brigade. What's your reaction from being up here and having a chance to, you were out here the first 2 days for the big press conferences with Patrick and Andy Reid, and then day one of the actual practices. What's your takeaway?
My number one takeaway is probably Andy Reid saying day one that the main theme of camp is going to be urgency. So we've seen the Chiefs, get to 3 straight Super Bowls, trying to get to their 4th in a row here this year. And maybe you think they come here, they kind of know what they're doing, but they want to come here and they kind of want to move quickly and get things going. And then today we asked Nick Bolton how the competition has been so far. He says the competition has been high. So I know obviously the Chiefs have been performing very well on the field, but it's good to hear that here at training camp they're feeling good. Neal, I know you've seen so many of these. How would you assess the first 4 days that you've seen?
Well, it's impossible because you don't hit. They used to hit at training camp, and not once. They practiced twice a day. Usually one of them was a hard practice, the other a little bit more about timing and cleaning up. They'd say, okay, Mark, when you block, you got to have your hands here. One of the practices was like that. The other one was to see if Marty Schottenheimer could see this guy. Can he block this guy? Can this guy beat the block? Go to it, guys. And it was like pitting 2 dogs together. I mean, okay, go. The winner's going to advance. And it's not like that anymore. It's that way because of all the head injuries and more that they've learned about CTE, the possibility of prolonged head injuries, not big head injuries, but just football head injuries, play after play, could build up and damage your brain. We've seen it. We've heard all the stories. Because of that, the Players Association and the NFL have done a great job of saying, look, we're not going to hit a whole bunch. We're going to have padded helmets. We're going to study the problem and see if we can learn ways to prevent concussions, prevent long-term head injuries. It benefits the players. They know that, but as football players, they want to get out there and hit, and we're going to see that on Friday when they put on the pads. How excited are you about that?
I think we all are. We heard the players say, on Sunday it's going to feel a little bit more like real football. And then I know we've seen some of the guys out here. Some of them are wearing those Guardian caps, so there is a little bit banging on going on. But one thing that really stood out to me today is I know that they weren't wearing pads, but we got to see offensive linemen and defensive linemen go at it. They were going at it pretty good.
They were not going at it.
They were
pushing. It's like seeing 2 13-year-old boys pushing each other to try to get into line to get ice cream. It's not.
Well, that's what Neal Jones is saying. I saw Trey Smith and Chris Jones going pretty good at it, and afterwards Chris Jones beat Trey Smith, and Trey Smith let out a 4-letter F word after Chris Jones beat him. They were going at it pretty hard, but good to see that. Simmons also a lot of reps with the first team, and then this rookie second-round defensive tackle, Omar Norman Lott, he was with the ones when they were going up one-on-one. So cool to see that both those guys in the trenches getting some early looks.
If they end up playing touch football, we learned a lot. If you're interested in football,
we'll have to find out later.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And by the way, you don't have to say 4-letter F word. It's either F word or 4-letter word. You don't need to specify it that much.
Well, it could have been free, could have been foul, could have been fair play, could have been any of these.
Yeah, he went to the University of Miami, not exactly Harvard. They say it's Harvard with a swimming pool. I think it's more like a community college with no standards.
It's Harvard of the South, also known as Suntan U.
Yes. But you did go to a good high school. You went to Rockhurst, right?
No, Bishop Miege. Rockhurst
I am sorry.
They wouldn't let me in.
I am sorry. I forgot that you couldn't get into Rockhurst.
Yeah, they gave me the admissions test, and I looked at it and said, this is too easy. It was like 1 + 1 is 2. 2 + 2 is 4. I was like, I can't go to Rockhurst. That's too easy.
I always say that to him. I knew he went to Miege, and he loves Miege, and he's wearing red because of Miege, not because of the Chiefs. What do you think about the lack of fans the last couple of days? Today, there were no fans here because they made a decision, and they emailed everybody and put it out on all their social media. Hey, we think practice is going to be indoors, which means the fans can't see it. It's because of lightning and heavy rain. As it turned out, literally at the last minute, they were able to practice outside. But the players, I think, absolutely noticed that there weren't any fans.
Yeah, it was very, very quiet at practice today. And I know when we first got here to St. Joe, there was a little flip-flopping. Like, we got here, and they're like, practice is indoors. Then it was practice was outdoors. Then it was practice was indoors. And then it was like, no. Practice is out. So, but it was very quiet today because there are certainly some big plays that happen. Or, when Travis Travis comes out or Patrick comes out, the fans just kind of scream. They get really excited. And today, I mean, it was like a high school football practice almost, because like you see the guys out there, like we saw Andy Reid talking to them, and there's no fans. Like, it really was like that.
And he would know about high school football because he was a Yale later at Bishop Miege, and so he saw the football players.
No. More accurately, I was a member of the band, Neal.
Band is pretty good for better than Yell leader, I think.
Yeah, I mean, band is a lot of fun. That's why I love high school sports and college sports. Like, you go out there and there's like a live band. Like, it actually is a lot of fun. Like, imagine if Arrowhead Stadium had like 200 of the best musicians in Kansas City, like playing a fight song. It would be electric.
They used to have a band. They had a band.
Yeah.
Tony DePardo. No, yeah. Tony DePardo had DePardo had the TD band, and they were in the end zone. His daughter would sing the national anthem, and Tony would be down there, and they played in timeouts. Then one time they brought in a guitarist from some top 40 heavy metal hair band who played all these riffs of stuff that I'm like, that's awesome. I told Carl Peterson, that's what you need to do, because they'd be a commercial timeout, and all of a sudden he'd break into the. And it wasn't just his band. Yeah, it was like China Grove's guitar part from a band that he did not play in, and they played that, and everybody starts going to it, and the players are like, that's pretty good. And then I wish they'd continue to do that. I would like it. I think that was fun.
It was quiet today at practice.
They were playing Ozzy Osbourne yesterday. They were playing different music.
They had some Future. They had some Lil Wayne. They had some old Gucci Mane. Like, it was a little bit of a throwback playlist today. I actually really liked it.
Marlia, they did not play any Bobby Sherman. Bobby Sherman just passed away, and Marlia had all of his albums because she watched that terrible television show he was on.
Well, one guy they did play was Bobby Shmurda. His music was out there today.
That's very good.
No Bobby Sherman, but there was Bobby Shmurda.
Nobody your age knows who. I promise you that Marlia Campbell does not know who Bobby Sherman is. It's like the Monkees. I mean,
I know them. I know them. This is the Neil Diamond era. Billy Joel. These guys. Yeah.
Billy Joel was a little later than that. But it is interesting. They're not playing as much hip hop and stuff. They've played different music the last 2 days. That's one of the things that stuck out. And then one of the guys on 810 said, "No, that's by design. That's Ozzy Osbourne. That's what
homage to him."
Yeah, they were playing stuff to honor he just passed away 2 days ago, so they were doing that, and I guess one of the coaches or somebody was a fan of them, so they played that stuff, and it was a delightful break. I must say I like that. So let's talk a little football. It's hard. Part of doing our job is finding things to beat on the head coaching staff or the GM about. People do it with the Royals. What are they doing? Come on, go out and get some hitters. What are you doing? No, they're not good enough. Don't invest. Don't buy. You need to sell your best pitching and catchers and bring in guys for next year. You can have that discussion. You can't have that discussion about the Chiefs. Who are you going to criticize? Well, Andy Reid, they didn't win that third straight Super Bowl, and they didn't look like they were ready to play on offense, and he stinks. No, you can't do that. You can't question them. They've just been too good.
Well, I think one thing that you could question them on is something that they've tried to address this offseason, and we've talked about it many times, but it is the offensive line, because I know today we were out here at practice, we were watching some of these throws that Patrick Mahomes was making. It was unbelievable, and I think it was Nate Taylor now with ESPN.com. He's like, can you just imagine if the Chiefs could protect Patrick Mahomes just because some of the throws that he was making? But, Neal,
you couldn't come up with that. You had to quote Nate. Nate's one of the best, and congratulations to him.
I want to give him a shout out.
But you could not come up with that on your own.
Hey, at OTAs, I said that there was breaking news. It was a big surprise to all fans. I said, guess what, guys? Patrick Mahomes looks good. That's why they paid me the big bucks here. That's why they're like, all right, we got to sign this guy and move him into sports because of analysis like that. But I will say, one thing I'm really interested to see how this develops is Josh Simmons, the rookie left tackle. We didn't know if he was going to really start camp around the draft time, and every single day he's been out here with the ones, and that's a sign for us. And then Jawan Taylor, I saw him today off on the side. We haven't really seen him do anything.
So who was number one right now a year ago?
It was Kingsley and Wanye.
Yeah, but Kingsley had won the position. Yeah. They gave it to him, right?
Kings early on in camp.
Yeah, they gave it to him. So I'm not sure that I'm ready to anoint Josh Simmons as the next Kingsley. I hope he's not the next Kingsley. I hope he's not the guy they give the job to and then he fails for whatever reason. Kingsley failed because he just wasn't ready to play. Everybody, by all accounts, everybody says Josh Simmons is ready to be a star left tackle. He was rated as the #1 left tackle entering the college season, draft eligible left tackle in all of college football. He transferred to Ohio State. He was at Ohio State playing for a team that ended up winning the national championship. And people said he was one of the 2 or 3 best players on that team. And we all know what kind of pro talent they had on it. So what makes me feel good is I watch him, I zoom in on him, I look. I've had 5 knee operations. I know the signs of a sore knee. He is not playing with any kind of, he's not inhibited. He looks like he's got great mobility with his knees. He cuts both ways. He looks good on his feet. He's not like he's hiding something. A year ago, Wanya Morris never looked right. He had a knee problem. We didn't know how bad it was. He could not make blocks. Even in this period of camp where they weren't actually hitting, you would try to see their athleticism. He wasn't able to get over to get in front of people to make a block if he had to pull or anything. So that was problematic. And then it turned out that he wasn't able to play tackle. And remember how many times he would get hurt in the middle of and they'd help him and they'd help him off. You think, well, he's done. And then Wanya would be right back because he was getting bone bruises. He was getting bruises hit on the same spot. I hope that they've got 2 guys who can play tackle. Obviously, Jawan Taylor is coming back from surgery. He's not ready to play, but he'll be back in the mix at right tackle. He may even be the starting right tackle, but if he's not, I think they've got 2 guys who can play the swing position in Wanya and in the kid Walker that they brought in from the 49ers. He's a proven commodity, and he's going to be your left tackle if for any reason, Josh Simmons can't play. If his knee begins to swell up, if he starts to have residual problems from the patella injury from a year ago, that could still happen. They've got a guy who can play left tackle. He did it for the 49ers at a high level last year for seven games. He started like 15 or 20 games in his NFL career.
I think the Chiefs gave him $21 million guaranteed, so they clearly believe that he's a guy that can contribute.
And they didn't know Simmons was going to be their first pick. They thought this is going to be our left tackle. Hey, wait a minute. Simmons he's testing well physically. They bring him in, he works out. He's running. He's doing a lot better than we thought. He might be able to play. And plus, we got a guy who can play left tackle. So we've got a guy that's our left tackle. But if Simmons can play halfway through the season or towards the end of the season, then he could be our starting left tackle a year from now. And we believe we got a guy who's a future Pro Bowler. I think they're in good position. But you're right. If you want to attack Brett Veach, the only place you can do it probably is left tackle. They threw money at a guy. Orlando Brown, who was a very serviceable tackle. Everybody pointed, well, he's not good at speed rush. He can't do this, he can't do that. Well, he's better than everybody who's played left tackle since then. Okay, so they made him a good offer, and he took less money to go to Cincinnati. So I think Veach tried to make a smart move. But at left tackle, you can't afford to swing and miss. If they swing and miss again, if for some reason it doesn't work at left tackle again, then you do say, okay, Brett Veach is a great general manager, and he helped build this with a great scouting staff and with the help of this coaching staff, which also has input. But at the end of the day, you got to get left tackle right. Okay, then you can attack him. But I'm telling you what, there's just not a lot we can question. Who on that staff? Steve Spagnuolo, are you smarter about defense than him?
No, I don't know if anyone in the NFL is. But one thing I will say on Josh Simmons, I know kind of going into this year after the draft, a lot of Chiefs fans obviously were excited about this pick, but there certainly were some Chiefs fans, I would count myself maybe among this group, that was skeptical, because I know the Chiefs kind of thought he fell into their lap down there at 32, but I was kind of the opinion that maybe 31 other teams passed on him because everyone knew about the potential, everyone knew who he was going into the season, and then all these teams, there are plenty of teams in the NFL that need left tackles, and they're just like, we're not picking him, we're not picking him, we're not picking him. But I will say now, we've seen him at minicamp, we saw him at OTAs, we see him here at training camp. I mean, this couldn't have gone any better for the Chiefs because he's moving, he's involved at practice. I mean, after the draft, like they were saying, we think he's going to be ready to go by training camp, and here we are at training camp, and he's practicing with the ones. So I think it's gone as well as they would have hoped.
And he is doing everything. He's holding the bags. He's not limiting. Like before, he'd do a little bit of stuff in stretching during OTAs and stuff, and then when the team did team stuff, he stayed out of it because they wanted to protect him. But now he's holding bags, and the other starting guys are up there hitting him, hitting the bag, and he's having to put pressure to hold him. He looks okay. Somebody on a national radio show said, well, this could be a disaster. I mean, this could be a massive disaster. What if he can't play for him? I go, no. No, the disaster is if he re-injures his knee because he came back too early and now he's set back another year. That would be a disaster to lose a guy and not. So but I don't think they're rushing him back. I think that the doctors are telling them we believe he's ready to play, and they do more than just, hey, run and see if you're limping. They test the knee. They put it on machines where you can see how much pressure you can put on it, because you exert so much pressure when you weigh over 300 pounds and you want to brace yourself and then explode against somebody else.
He's a quick twitch, explosive athlete. I can't remember if it was at minicamp or at OTAs or rookie minicamp, but I remember Josh, we were talking to him when he was meeting with the media, and he was talking about how he wanted to do more, but at that point the Chiefs were holding him back because they didn't want anything to happen. He's like, I want to do it all. I want to go. I want to do all the team stuff.
Did Nate Taylor tell you to say that? Or
I was just giving him a nice shout out. He got a great promotion. I don't know if it's a promotion, but he got a good new job.
We love Nate Taylor. I'm teasing.
But it was, he's very animated here at practice. So like when he's very excited, Nate, like everyone around kind of knows, because he'll talk about some big plays.
Okay, if I want to quote somebody else, our sports director Marlea Campbell, who played Division I sports, unlike the yell leader, or I'm sorry, band member here, points out how difficult it is mentally to come back from an injury. She had a severe shoulder injury. She had to have it operated on, and she said coming back from that, it gets in your head, and that's pretty impressive that he's out there. Look, he has not earned first string. Okay, he's in the first string. It doesn't mean
it happenens because Jawan Taylor's out, and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, but I thought they would go with the veteran.
Jalen Moore would be starting there on the left side, and that maybe Simmons would be taking those 2 reps, but that's not what they're doing.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, there are people who believe that Moore could shift to right tackle if Jawan Taylor continues to have penalty problems, and scouts tell me he does not do well, that he does not nail down the right side of the line, but also they are comparing him to the guys that we had before. Do you remember Mitchell Schwartz?
Oh, yeah.
He was universally seen as the toughest, best right tackle in pro football. And then you had John Tate on the left side, who was very, very solid. He was the number 1 pick in the draft only because that was a weird year, but he came in and played and started from day
Fisher?
1. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, John Tate. I was like, that's a different eon of Chiefs football.
Yeah. And
was Casey Wegman under center? Yeah. Willie Rofe out there? Yeah.
Willie Rofe would have been a good left tackle.
Yeah, he would have been.
But the point being is that they had a good guy on the left side and they had a great guy on the right side, and you just took it for granted that, hey, they're going to block. And then what happens when this last year, but even the year before last, I didn't think they were great at left tackle. They had too many penalties. They had too many breakdowns. They had whiffs. Not all the time like last year, but they had a key situation in a game, they'd send 2 people at the left tackle and he would miss.
Well, I think whenever you have a franchise quarterback and you have to pay him what you have to pay him, it is what it is. You're going to have some deficiencies on offense, and it seems like for a lot of teams that has maybe been on the offensive line. I know you have a big investment there at quarterback, and it seems like maybe, I know the Chiefs are spending a lot of money on the O-line this year, but when you spend a lot of money, it takes up cap space.
Also, one of the big stories that broke yesterday afternoon involving Bill Self. He was, University of Kansas sent out information that he was feeling unwell yesterday, and so he went to the doctor, presumably an emergency room, and they ended up performing 2 more stents to try to open up the arteries around his heart. This is the second time he's had a situation in the last 2 years. I think all of us are praying for him. We wish him best. He's been fabulous to work with over the years, and we hope he's doing well. People immediately sending me text messages and talking, will he be able to coach? Is this going to be Jacques Vaughn? Will he be the acting coach? We saw another acting coach when they had to play in the NCAA tournament and the Big 12 tournament 2 years ago, Coach Roberts. And this is a scary I think it's kind of a scary time for Kansas fans because of the situation with the portal and the NIL and how the game has changed. A team that for 2 seasons in a row was the preseason number 1 in the University of Kansas ends up not having great years. They weren't terrible years, but they weren't great years.
Up to the standard. They were not up to the standard, yeah.
And now this. And I think it is. It's trouble. It happened at a time when he has time to be able to get to feeling better, but it worries me that it could be long term. And I hope that they're able to nail this down because he wants to coach and I want to see him coach.
And it's certainly hard for, I'm sure, Kansas fans to kind of imagine a team where Bill Self was not at the helm. I know we've seen Norm Roberts coach a couple games, but if you were just to imagine like a season where Bill Self was not leading KU into Allen Fieldhouse for like Midnight at the Fog, any of that, it would just feel so weird. Because he replaced Roy in what, 2003, 2004, somewhere around
2004.
There? Yeah, so I mean, he's been here for more than 20 years, so it's just, I mean, obviously we know Bill Self and everything that he's done for the state of Kansas and Kansas basketball. But I mean, times are changing, but we hope obviously his health is going in the right direction.
No, that's the main thing, is that he comes out of this thing healthy and that they are able to kind of put their finger on it. I mean, in healthcare, I've never had heart problems, and I've not been around people who did, but maybe it scares me more than people. Oh no, this happens and it'll be okay. But we wish him the best. But it's a tough time. Turning to college football, the University of Missouri returns to their campus on Sunday. That's going to be exciting to see all the players. They begin practice on Monday, their preseason workouts. They've got to determine who the quarterback's going to be. They believe it's the guy from Penn State who has played, and when he's played well. He's known as a running quarterback, but his numbers throwing the football are not bad. And Eli Drinkwitz says, no, if we just thought he could run, we wouldn't have recruited him. He can do everything.
Yeah, we're really excited to see how that all turns out, but I think it's really two completely different styles of quarterback for me, with Sam Horn maybe being more of a pocket passer, a thrower of the football, been in the program. I mean, the team knows what they have there. They've been able to evaluate him for all these years, and I know Coach Drink said after he was drafted, and Sam Horn was drafted 17th round of the MLB draft, he said, all right, congratulations, I'll see you at workouts the next morning, 6:30 in the morning. But I think everyone's looking at this transfer from Penn State, because why else would you go out and get a transfer quarterback when you already know what you have there in the system? And then,
no, you can never have enough, but why would he come to Missouri unless he believed he had a chance to win?
Yeah, well, and then also something I thought was very rare was that you really never see transfer quarterbacks kind of get like approval on the way out by their current head coach. But I remember James Franklin there at Penn State, he said that Bo was in a no-win situation just because of the way he had to transfer, where he was going to find a home and all this stuff. You don't see coaches say that about departing players, like speak of them in a positive light. So I think that's really good for Missouri. That, I mean, James Franklin was losing a quality player, and you know, he said that.
It's a different world, though, because both the Oklahoma coach and the Missouri coach before the bowl game said, hey, if kids want to enter the portal, they're still welcome to play in the bowl game. They've been at practice every day. They paid the price. We want them with us, and then they can play with their buddies, and then they can enter the portal and see what happens. So you wouldn't have seen that. Look, if you're going to walk, Mark, don't let the door hit you in the rear, in the three.
It's just a different era of college football. And I think everyone that's, you know, in the game, they know the stakes. Like, they know that anyone can leave at any time. They know that money is probably the most driving thing in this entire thing. Is like,
unlike television, where we care about you.
It's all about passion.
We get paid, but we care about the viewers more than our paycheck, right, Mark?
That's absolutely correct.
You're blushing a lot.
It's a vocation right here.
Hey, look, and let's turn to the University of Kansas. We've got an assistant coach at the University, or here at the Chiefs, whose son is going to be a freshman. He's a Rockhurst kid who's going over to Missouri, and he's going to be helping out on the football team. Then you got a coach whose son, well, I wasn't going to name names. Thank you so much for doing that.
Anyone can look at the roster.
Thank you. Whose son is going to be at KU. So we're talking to all of them, and he goes, hey, he hears me talking to the Mizzou guy, and I'm going to be over there this weekend. I'm going to see him. And he goes, are you going to KU? And I go, yeah, I'll be over there too. I'll go over there. Have you seen the stadium? He goes, man, I hear it's unbelievable. I'm getting excited, and I love the fact they're playing. Usually it's like, look, you know, Kansas and Missouri, their biggest non-con game is Illinois or somebody that's maybe a good team and nobody cares about. The fact that they're playing each other is unbelievable.
Well, I hope that they keep doing this, and I hope it gets back to, what was it, the 2007 game when it was like number 2 versus number 4 in the country, and it was like college football, we talk about it a lot here in Kansas City, but around that date, like Kansas City was the center of the college football universe. It was Todd Reesing, all those guys going over against Missouri, and I hope if I were going to mention one of the two quarterbacks in that game, Todd Reesing, as great as he was, Chase Daniel might have been the guy. No, I can't believe I said Todd Reesing.
I love Todd Reesing too.
He definitely was not a Chase Daniel type player, though. But no, this is what college football is all about. It's about rivalries. It's about, you know, being able to go to work and talk trash to your friends from the other school, the other side of the state line, and that's what we have going on here with Kansas and Missouri.
We've got 7 minutes to go.
How about that?
7 minutes. We have not mentioned what? University of Kansas State University Wildcats.
I was going to say the Royals.
I keep teasing my friends because I love loyalty, and I hate the newest flavor. That's because I'm old. You know, you're the new flavor. I hate the new flavor. I like the good old.
I'm old also. Katie Marr is the new flavor. She's young.
Well, we have no chance. I mean, she's going to be a rock star. But so there was a part of me last year that I was almost like, you know, I am rooting more for Ohio State's quarterback, I think.
Yeah.
Will Howard, a guy that had been he was one of those guys that when they beat Kansas.
You had him live on our 10 p.m. newscast. You had him live literally right after they beat KU.
And they said, hey, would you mind going live? And he goes, no, I'd be happy to. And he came on, and we got 2 or 3 players. And there are guys around that they wouldn't do that. And so I've always had a soft spot in my heart for those guys who have been, same thing with the players before him. You know, those guys, you work with them. So when he made the decision to leave, some said he was pushed out the door. I don't think that's how Chris Kleiman ever works it. And Will Howard and Chris Kleiman have a great relationship. But there's no question that Avery Johnson, the man with a golden mane,
sunshine,
he really, the fans were clamoring, and he did what I didn't think he could do. He lived up to the hype, I thought, for the most part last year.
Well, he has the it factor. I mean, Avery Johnson, we saw this year when Tennessee lost their quarterback late in the portal season, all of a sudden, one SEC fan base, the Tennessee Volunteers, they start oogling over Avery Johnson and trying to get him to come to Tennessee, and there's a quarterback from Kansas State, and it's like, this guy has the juice. And then to see, obviously, a Kansas guy stay home, go to K-State, he just has such a loyal following here in the state of Kansas. Very cool to see what's going to happen. And I know at Big 12 Media Days, Kleiman said that Avery's put on, I think, 17 pounds of good muscle, and he's really developed at what we wanted to see as a passer. Now, do I believe Chris? We're going to have to wait and see, but I'm glad that he's putting that out there.
You call him Chris?
Coach Kleiman. Is that better?
Chris?
Hey, what do you call Bobby Witt Jr.? Bobby? Junior?
Mr. Witt.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I don't do. I don't ask him questions about, you guys have never won a series against the Orioles. And
regular season.
And then he goes, we just won the playoff game. He didn't show you up on camera, though.
Yep.
He was nice. And trust me.
He's a great guy. Bobby is really great with the media. Good. Well, whatever. Hopefully the Royals can keep picking it up, too.
And listen, you would have to go so far down to match some of the dumb stuff I've done on live television. On the field after the AFC Championship game, all the kids and the fans and the players came out and they were celebrating. The confetti fires off, and someone from the Chiefs says, "I'll go get who's a linebacker for the Chiefs." He came from the Chargers.
Oh, Drew Tranquill.
We're going to get Drew Tranquill. I just saw Drew. I'll get him. So they bring a guy. He's wearing a T-shirt over his jersey. He's a white dude. He's got a hat down to here. He's got lamp black on. And so hey, wait, Drew, how great is this? And he gives me this great answer. And then I look to his wife and I ask her a question. And I go, that looks like Drew Tranquill. This is not Drew Tranquill's wife. This is the professional soccer player who would come to camp, this beautiful blonde who was a professional soccer player who said if my husband he was trying as a free agent, if my husband makes it, I'm going to try to get on with the Current because she plays pro.
Yeah.
And I had interviewed her and said, well, we ought to do a story. And I'm like, it hits me. This is not. And I had interviewed her. I'd interviewed his grandmother. Oh, here's Grandma. How proud of you, Drew. Oh, it's great. We're so proud. And then I look at him. I'm like, this is not Drew Tranquill. And I'm on live TV. So I guess you can call him Chris if you want. You want to call him?
Well, no, so whatever. You were talking to Swayze Bozeman. You left out the best part of the story. We're down there in New Orleans trying to find a place to go live near Bourbon Street. And there's Swayze Bozeman's aunt and mom and who else was down there?
They had his jersey hanging down in Bourbon Street. And I said, hey, can we come do a story? And she goes, well, yes, come on up. You guys want a mint julep? And I said, no, but, Mark, well, we got to try it.
They poured a big drink for Brad Stevens the last day that we were there. I think it was probably maybe 90% bourbon, like 10% Sprite or Coke, whatever they put in there. But they took care of Brad. They really did.
This is after work?
This was after all of our obligations were complete, yes.
This is good to know. Good to know. How much time left?
What's the buzzer say? All right, 20. We got 2 minutes, 15 seconds. What do you got?
All right. Let's talk about K-State. K-State does not have that great glamour game that we think of, but they do have a great game, and that is against Army. Army, by the way, it has been great. They were tremendous last year. This is a team. I wish they were playing this at Army, but they kick off the season obviously
in
Ireland against Iowa State. So that's a big game. I think that's a fun game. That'll be good for the fans. I hope a bunch of people show up. I'm not sure how many people from Iowa State are going to go, but I suspect quite a few.
Well, I bet everyone's going to fly out of KCI. The Iowa State people probably drive down here, and then K-State, Manhattan, they're going to drive over. So it might be quite a few people from Kansas City to Dublin.
Now, I don't think they're going to send us to Brazil. I wonder if they'd send us to Ireland. There's a great golf course right by the airport in Dublin.
Yeah, and
real close to the football field.
Well, and the Open Championship was in Northern Ireland. Maybe we'll cross up there.
That's like going to Canada.
Yeah.
I'm talking about there's a world-class golf course within about 10 minutes of the airport.
I think we need to do that. We'll put it on the company card, and the expense will be good.
Our news director loves golf. If Josh went to field produce,
yeah.
Josh, why don't you come with us to Dublin? We'll do stories on K-State fans having fun at all the pubs and everything, and do live shots all over the board. We'll be on digital while you're playing golf and making sure that we get back on the plane on time. What do you think?
And I played with Josh before. He's actually a pretty good golfer. I think he'd go out there, he'd probably break 80 on one of these courses. It would be cool to see.
Now, one thing I'll say.
Am I trying to butter him up? I don't know.
One thing I'll say about Junior. Junior can flat out hit the golf ball. You're really, really good.
Well, I didn't play Division I golf at Oklahoma like you, Neal.
Yeah, and I'm not any good. I'm 67 years old, and I was really good when I was 19. So that tells you all you need to know. Guys, I think we wrapped it up. It's starting to rain a little bit here. Marlia Campbell will have all you need to know coming up tonight at 6 o'clock on KCTV5 Sports. We'll have a report from training camp, and then coming up at 10 o'clock, we'll get you covered on all the hot stories surrounding the Chiefs. Have a great afternoon.